Hi, my name is Andrea Wright, and this is my 5-minute introduction video for the middle school English position. I'm going to jump right to the topics that you asked me to cover because I am barely going to fit everything into those 5 minutes as it is. So let's get to it. Your first topic asked about my guiding principles that support my work as an educator, and I came up with 3. First, I believe in the potential of every student. And I make a point to see beyond their challenges to their strengths and possibilities. For example, instead of focusing on how a student does on a final unit test for grammar, I'll focus on the growth from the pre-test to the unit test and make sure they look at that. Second, my classroom is filled with kindness, patience, and understanding. I want students to feel safe to be themselves. That's a key factor. A safe emotional space is crucial for trust and genuine growth in all areas, not just academically. For instance, I say good morning or good afternoon to every single student that walks in. My students make fun of me at the end of the year for it. Also, every year at the beginning, I have students give me one interesting fact about themselves. I write it on my seating chart, which helps me start that dialogue with that student, thus starting to form that relationship, which, let's be honest, relationships are the heart of education. Thirdly and lastly, I push curiosity, creativity, and inspiration. Kids need to want to learn the material, so you have to make it relatable to them. For example, I teach culture throughout the entire year at my school right now. As an end of the year unit, students do a project about a culture that they are involved in, and then they teach it to the class. I've had students teach the class about being part of the cross-country culture, being a sneakerhead. Yes, that is a thing. I had to look it up at the time too. Or as large as being a part of, the Muslim culture or the techie culture. If it's interesting to them, it will come alive in the classroom. Your second topic was to name 2 or 3 things that I believe have the most significant impact on student learning. I'm going to give 2 things. First, personal connections. I like to spend a few minutes each day chatting with students about their interests, hobbies, or challenges. I put a happy birthday sign on their desk with a sucker if it's their birthday. I celebrate their successes, big or small. Building strong relationships with students encourages trust and motivation, which is crucial for learning. Second, for me, would be quality instruction. I like to be effective, clear, and engaging when I teach. It allows students to understand the material better and stay motivated. Teaching is an art. And we as teachers need to tailor to individual student needs and backgrounds. We need to include, diverse instructional strategies, formative and summative assessments, and provide meaningful feedback, especially the meaningful feedback, because this is where the learning process, I believe, really takes place, the reflection aspect of it. Third, my teaching style described in 3 or 4 phrases. For this, I'm going to say engaging, interactive, and humanistic. My style is engaging and interactive because I like to use group discussions, debates, and technology to make lessons lively and make students want to participate and ask me questions. My style is humanistic. And as a teacher, I make sure to remember that students are just like me. They're human. They each have their own challenges and their own stress factors. And I try to keep that in mind, or try to keep in mind that they are going through things just like I'm going through things. Yes, content discussion is extremely important, but it is also important to have those humanistic discussions. A simple "how are you" goes a long way. I tell the students that, when I make a mistake, I own up to it. I always make the joke, I'm not perfect, but I'm close, and students get a kick out of it. I also tell students that they will ask me questions that I do not know the answer to, and we look it up together. I tell them I don't know everything. I also tell them that, like I said, I will make mistakes. I have blemishes. For example, my computer just fell a little bit. That's a part of me. I'm not going to be perfect, and I'm not going to change that out of the script because it is what it is. I own up to it. This is not going to be perfect. The 4th thing you guys asked me to talk about was how do I build a positive and collaborative culture with students and staff? And it's the same thing actually for both students and staff with me. And that's just going to be open dialogue. talk to one another, like put your phone down, ask questions, show genuine interest and empathy when engaging with students and staff. Show interest in their lives outside of the school building. Um, if I focus solely on staff, I'm a huge believer in learning from one another. I like to be involved in PLCs. I was the head of one, of the ninth grade one. I like to learn and share strategies, but also kind of entwined in there is I also am very interested in visiting other classrooms to see how other teachers teach and ask questions about their lessons, because I truly believe that learning doesn't stop just because you're a teacher. You have to continuously improve. Fifth, and I know I'm almost out of time, or I am out of time, but I'm going to keep going. Again, I'm not perfect. How does the mission statement to empower students to learn, grow, and lead with confidence come alive in my classroom? In my classroom, I empower students to learn by creating a student-centered environment, okay, by offering choices and topics. I push critical thinking by asking open-ended questions, and I make a point to show students how the material relates to them and why they are learning it. That way they will want to learn it and they will know why they're learning it. They have to be able to relate to it. I foster growth by instead of praising results, I highlight effort and perseverance. This encourages students to see themselves as capable learners, and it builds confidence, which leads to the last part of the mission statement. In my classroom, I teach students to lead with confidence. I start right away on the first day, and I make sure that they understand that my classroom is a safe and respectful place. I make sure they know that mistakes will be made, and it's okay. Once students are safe and they feel safe, they gain the confidence to ask questions and share ideas. Once they feel that way, they will then have confidence to lead via student-led discussions, peer review sessions, projects, and they'll take on academic risk without the fear of judgment. And that's what we really want in that student. You're building those little life lessons that to go beyond your classroom, you know. Okay, I'm sorry. I know I took up, more than 5 minutes, but all that stuff is actually really interesting to me. And I had actually a great time, like thinking about it and reflecting about it. Thank you guys. Hopefully I hear from you. Have a great day, you guys.